Welcome to the live premiere. Sonic Racing CrossWorlds is here, finally. Everyone's allowed to play. Everyone can play now since the game's fully released. I'm having so much fun playing the game. I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the menu so it doesn't bring up the cutscene. But today is something I wasn't really planning to make until after the state of play. The state of play changed everything to make this video about season 2. We have the conclusion of the season pass for this first wave of DLC for Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, and I'm going to be jumping between menus. I might even leave it on the character screen and just talk about what we have right now and what I want to see in the future. None of these characters have been leaked, none of these characters have been announced, so there's no sort of announcement or any sort of official news. I want to get that out there right now so people don't misconstrue and mess up, just think that these characters are real and they're not. These are just ideas of my dream roster of what I want to see in the future for a new second wave, a part 2, a season 2 DLC. And let me know what you guys think of these characters. Maybe we're not going to probably get them all. We're probably not going to see all the characters join, which is completely fine. But I think majority of the characters that you guys see from the thumbnail and the pics that I'm going to be talking about from my concept of how these characters can be implemented. I don't want to just talk about the characters. I put in the time to try to come up with some creative ideas of what they can do for their carts, skin ideas, tracks, different cross worlds that could be included from each world that you guys see from these different characters, from PlayStation icons, Resident Evil characters, anime if they can get there, and so much more other series that can join this game for third-party characters. And there's so much more that they can bring to this title because the sky is the limit. Look at what we have right now. And let's just bring it up on the screen. I'm going to get ready to get into this. This is our roster right now. Look at all that empty space. We don't even know what else could be possibly end up next. Even with some of these characters, this is just the beginning. We got Hatsune Miku a lot earlier than expected. I thought she wasn't coming out until later, but she ended up coming out on launch day, part of early access, and we already had a chance to really play as Hatsune Miku as one of the Sega characters. It's not just Sega characters joining this game. We got other third-party characters joining in later on this year. And what's cool, what I like on the screen, it tells you the expected release date. So we got Joker coming up in October, starting next week. But I heard about the Miku Festival that's supposed to be taking place next week, sometime next week if it doesn't get moved. But Joker is coming out next month for October, and then Ichiban from Yakuza, he's heading into Sonic Racing in November, and then we got Minecraft characters to kick it off for this first wave DLC. It also says October for them as well. So we got Steve, we got Alex, and we got the Creeper as well. All joining Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. It's just going to be a lot of fun. And what I did not expect for this game, Nicktoons coming into the game. I cannot wait to play as SpongeBob and Patrick in this game and head on down to the Krusty Krab and race on that track. I just can't wait. And there's so much more. The Ninja Turtles are headed to the game. We got Pac-Man. We also got the Avatar Legends. I'm not even sure who they're going to pick up for that. Maybe Aang and Korra. Maybe they'll add Zuko or Toph at some point. But I think they're probably just maxed out at just 2 characters, maybe 2 to 3 if we get lucky. But this is something that I wanted to really talk about, and this is probably going to be a lot longer of a video premiere. And what I'm going to do for you guys is add the timestamp so you guys can click on the portion that you want to listen to, and whatever idea, if the ideas that or the characters that stand out to you the most, you can go straight to that portion of the video after the video is live. So the description is going to have the timestamps, and the chapters are going to be on display, and then I'm going to also type out the information and some of the ideas that I came up with just in case you miss it. And if you don't want to watch the full video, you could just scroll through and check it out in the pinned comment section, or I might even put it in the description, but I think I'll put it as the pinned comments so people can really be able to see all the different ideas that I came up with for all 12 characters for my dream roster for season 2 new guest DLC characters. And it's okay if they don't make it into the game. I'm completely fine with that. So let's just put it right on Sonic the Hedgehog just for now. And I'm going to get ready to get started with some of the characters in just a little bit. But the first thing I want to just mention is just a quick recap. We got Mega Man and Proto Man to conclude this first wave of DLC, which is one of my favorite video game series. We got the Blue Blur, and he's going to be on a run into the Blue Bomber himself. He had his original name being Rockman, but it's Mega Man. It was changed to Mega Man, later on. So the Blue Blur is going to be able to encounter the Blue Bomber himself, Mega Man, and then his brother Proto Man is also joining the game. And then we got the track reveal during the state of play, which was awesome. And it's just like I wanted it to be. Dr. Wily's Castle is the playable track for Mega Man's DLC to conclude the first wave. So all those amazing characters I just mentioned, and as you guys can see on the screen, they're all coming out in different waves. And this is just the beginning. What more can they do? And that's what I want to talk about. That's what I wanted to focus on today. What more can they do? What more can Sega do to attract all types of different audiences around the world to get players playing Sonic Racing? Even if they haven't played a Sonic game before, they're going to be interested in checking this game out because of these characters getting into the game. And being open and honest, I feel like most people out there are Miku fans who probably end up picking this game up because of her inclusion as DLC, and they wanted to play this game because of her. And everybody has their different reasons of why they decided to play it. They were probably looking for something new to play, a different racing game. This one has a lot to offer. It's not just racing, it's a lot of different content that this game has, and which I like. You can create your own car, you can customize your own machine. I didn't even start making mine yet, which I plan to at this point, some point this weekend. It's so many things that you can make from custom cars. You can create what you want. I love the creativity, and it stands out. Most of these car racing games don't have that creativity, and they just went above and beyond for Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. So it's not just about online. It has a lot of good content from the single player. You could create your own car and be able to be creative to create the machine that you want to create, from an inspired TV show, a video game series, a movie, maybe a favorite video game character or a TV show, anime character. You could just do what you want to do and be creative for this. It's doing what most games haven't done. Most of these racing games haven't done, and I think this is one of the best racing games this year. And it can go above and beyond. And that's what I wanted to bring to the table today for this live premiere. Let's start talking about the future. We're going to start talking about the future for these characters and what they can do. And the one thing I like from the Grand Prix, they can run into different rivals, which I like. Let's go. Seriously, one of my favorite characters. And you can be able to race on the different speeds and do what you want to do, and you get a rival, the rival reactions and things like that. But let's get into the future and start talking about it. So this first portion is going to be all about the DC collaboration and this DC pack that I put together with Batman and Harley Quinn. And I'm not saying Harley Quinn is going to get picked up over Joker or maybe some other characters. This is just some kind of idea for a concept of what they can do. Two different characters, a hero and an anti-hero or a villain, that can join this game for the DC universe. And Sega already has that DC collaboration. So Sega already has a DC collaboration, and we've gotten a look at the DC Cross Sonic the Hedgehog new skins added with the comics that's coming out next year. And some ideas that I wanted to bring out before we get into Batman and Harley Quinn. These new skins could also be included with some of these characters, with Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Silver the Hedgehog, they can include these skins. Maybe we could see these part of a huge DC update that could be included in this game. We could see members of the Justice League joining Sonic Racing CrossWorlds as skins. Sonic the Hedgehog as the Flash. We got Shadow as Batman. Tails could be added in for a skin with the DC collaboration. Tails is Cyborg. Knuckles as Superman, Amy as Wonder Woman, and then Silver as Green Lantern. What if they did that for a DC collaboration? So I wanted to bring that up. But for Batman and Harley Quinn, let's start talking about Batman and Harley Quinn for playable characters. So what they could do for this update. So Batman can join in with his Batmobile. Harley could have some kind of car with clown faces inspired designs from her pet hyenas, or red and black diamond patterns for her outfit that's similar to what she wears. It can be designed for her vehicle as a little bit of an idea. The track selection, I went with Gotham City. This track could be the best option for Batman and Harley Quinn, or whoever they choose to pick up from Batman just as an idea. Because I honestly think Joker could also end up joining the game as a playable character over Harley Quinn. They could do Batman and Joker as a little bit of a combo. But for my idea, I think regardless of who they choose for a character from Batman, we might see other characters in other locations appear in the track, like the Gotham City Police Department headquarters. And then some other additional characters I wanted to include for NPCs, or sort of cameo appearance for the background. Since they added Dr. Wily from Megaman for that track, for that collaboration DLC. We could see Commissioner Gordon from the headquarters, the Penguin, Riddler, Poison Ivy. It goes on and on with all those different characters that can really be able to join and be a part of this Batman collaboration part of the DC that we could probably see on the track. And the idea for a cross world, I add in the Joker's Playground that could feature a fun house that we can race through, full of bombs, traps, and other stuff to knock you off the track as hazards. So a cross world could be the Joker's Playground, for example. You know, once you get out of Gotham City, this will be something that they can really bring out for a little bit of an update. Now, I'm not saying, I want to say this, they could do other different DC characters that I can probably realistically see Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman being the three characters for the racers. But I wanted to just add in Batman as a DC for an example for DLC to represent the DC collaboration. And I think this will be really cool. This is something that they can start with. Other DC series can get in with Aquaman, the Flash, and things like that. These other heroes and villains can show up. The DC universe is huge. It's tons of characters that they can pick up. Now, some skins that I want to bring up for Batman. Sage is the character that started the skins. She's the character on the main roster that has skins. They have the AI skins that you can unlock in Race Park. But see how you can pick between this? This was a lot skin. It wasn't available, and you have to play the Grand Prix to be able to unlock this skin. They can make some of these skins unlockable once you pay for the DLC, so you could be able to earn them that way, and it'll give the player more to do in different challenges. They could do events. They could do special festivals and special events to unlock special skins with these new playable racers from DC. So Batman skins, I think it would be awesome to see later on in the future for updates if they go for those Batman, all those different skins that they can add from Batman, Batman Beyond that can get into the game, the Dark Knight. They can add that as a skin for unlockable for Batman and many more. The different versions of Harley Quinn, the Joker, Joker skin, the Batman Who Laughs, and things like that. They can add all those different versions of these different characters for us to be able to unlock, or they could be behind paywalls and we could be able to unlock them that way for different collaborations. The DC universe is huge, and I think this can really beef up the roster. It'll be nice to see Sonic meet Batman and be able to encounter him, but unfortunately, we're probably not even going to be able to get any voice lines for these DLC characters, but it's already going to create sales because of the inclusion of the DC heroes, DC superheroes, and the DC villains. That universe is huge, where this roster can just be even bigger than ever, just getting some representation from the DC universe. So that's the Batman and Harley Quinn portion for this video that I wanted to get into. Now I'm going to get into the Square Enix pack featuring Cloud Strife, Final Fantasy's Cloud Strife, and Tomb Raider's Lara Croft. Now, I wanted to do it a little bit differently because Square Enix has some really iconic characters, so I picked two iconic characters or two icons from Square Enix that I think fans out there would like, but I would love to see them include. So I didn't want to just be going with Cloud and Sephiroth to represent Final Fantasy. This next pack can feature iconic characters from Square Enix alone, so a Sega and Square Enix DLC collaboration I believe is possible. So instead of focusing two Final Fantasy characters like Cloud and Sephiroth, I thought I'd add two great characters from their own legendary series to join the game to represent Square Enix. So I want to start with the Final Fantasy series. And I honestly see Cloud and Sephiroth joining the game together if this becomes a Final Fantasy collaboration for playable racers. So they definitely gonna add Cloud and Sephiroth in this game, if they end up getting in for DLCs later on. So I think they probably can. Maybe I'll just keep it on different characters, just different songs in the background somewhere. But I think this will be awesome to really see put together. So Cloud can have a car based on the Fenrir motorcycle from Final Fantasy VII. Let's show Sonic the Werewolf. See how he got in? And his car, just back it up. I guess we'll go to the characters machines. It'd be probably easier this way. He has his own unique car. Because I want to start getting into this. This is Sage. Sage's car, the Giganto. It's really awesome how they added it. Everybody has their own unique car or their unique extreme gear. He doesn't have an extreme gear of his own, but he has his own unique vehicle. He's a power type. It's the Beast Bike. See how they did this? This is very well done. The Beast Bike. Let's have this song playing. And it makes me almost think a little bit of Final Fantasy. So I think this would be fitting for it, just to get into this for the Square Enix collab. So he has his own vehicle, as you guys can see. Let's do a full rotation so everybody can see. So now we have Sonic the Werewolf. He was a bonus pre-order DLC. He was a pre-order bonus, and he has his own unique vehicle. And just like I mentioned, some of these characters have their own unique vehicle, their unique car, or their own unique extreme gear. So with Cloud, he can have his own motorcycle from Final Fantasy VII, and they can definitely use this design style as inspiration. His Buster Sword can be part of his unique lobby animations when he wins the Grand Prix, since every character in this game has their own unique special theme. Even Hatsune Miku, and just as you guys can see with Sonic the Werewolf, this song, if it plays this song that's playing right now in the background is when you finish a stage in Sonic Unleashed. But when you from his Grand Prix winning animations, it plays the battle theme. So it's two different things, and it just goes to show you the amount of effort that they put into this game. So not every character is just so plain coming in. They have their special unique secrets and Easter eggs and things like that reference something from the games they're from or the series that they're from. So the victory theme can play when you defeat all the enemies in battle with a pose for Cloud Strife. Maybe he can bring out his Buster Sword and pose with that. I would love to see that happen for Cloud Strife. Now, some more things that I came up with for some ideas for Final Fantasy. For the Final Fantasy Cloud to feature Cloud on Cloud's behalf, a track, Midgar. So some of you guys who played Final Fantasy will probably recognize this. Midgar could be the track. The Shinra headquarters could also be a track as well. But we can race through these as an idea and run into the Turks. And we'll be able to possibly end up seeing the Mako reactor as some of the recognizable faces from the Final Fantasy VII series or the Final Fantasy series, like Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge from the Avalanche team, from Cloud's old team. He was part of Avalanche. So maybe we could see them on the track rooting for Cloud, cheering him on. And maybe we'll see some of the other characters like Barrett, Tifa, and all the other characters. Maybe they could be playable later on in the future if they decide to add more Final Fantasy icons. So Those are some of the ideas that I came up with as far as a track. Maybe the Shinra headquarters could be a cross world, but instead I selected the Northern Cave, which was also in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And I think this would be fitting, just the design of the Northern Cave. It fits the whole cross world sort of design and the aspect. It looks great. So this could be a cross world for Final Fantasy, for the Final Fantasy collab, adding the Northern Cave, and then the main track could be Midgar or the Shinra headquarters. It's so much they can end up doing. So it happened. The funny thing is though, with the whole Northern Cave cross world situation, see how we got Dr. Wily's castle? That stage was also Dr. Wily's castle was a stage in Super Smash Bros. So it was pulled from that and added into Sonic Racing CrossWorlds for the Mega Man and Proto Man, or the Mega Man collab from Capcom. So they might end up picking up Northern Cave. So that's Cloud Strife's ideas and some of my Final Fantasy discussion. Now we're going to start getting into Lara Croft, one of the greatest survivors, an iconic survivor in all of video game history. Tomb Raider is another series that can shine in Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, bringing an iconic survivor to the roster. And the one thing I want to do differently, I'm going to start showing the tracks. So we'll just pick him for now. I want to start showing the tracks. So still not done with them. It's level 10. So I don't have everything unlocked. I just been enjoying this game. It's so much to do. So much to do. Trying to battle the battle line roads. But we're not doing that today. But the one thing I want to do is bring up the tracks, because it won't let me select them. I could have just brought it up from the Grand Prix, but it's easier from the custom. See the cross world. So let's see. I want to use this as an example for Lara Croft. So if you haven't played Tomb Raider, or if you haven't played Tomb Raider, it's full of ruins. You explore ruins, you solve puzzles and things like that, and you run into bad guys and stuff like that, try to shoot at you. It's all kinds of fun, and a really good series. And let me see. I'm trying to look at the main course. I was gonna use the Dinosaur Jungle. I do like the Aqua Forest though as an example. Mystic Jungle is also a good choice. She also has had like some snowy environments that she's been through a lot all throughout these different environments. So I guess I'll use the Aqua Forest so you guys can see it. It's a main course. It's a main course and a main track, but I also could probably end up using the Dinosaur Jungle. That can also be fitting for this. It's so many different things, but I want to just leave it on the Aqua Forest just for this kind of style. So Tomb Raider is just another series that can shine in Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, bringing an iconic survivor to the roster. Lara Croft is another character that can have her own skins from the original games, from Tomb Raider, from the classic Tomb Raider 1 and 3. You know, Tomb Raider, the first 3 Tomb Raider games. So the other, just how Cloud got in, things like that. I'm not sure what kind of skins he could probably end up having. I mean, maybe he can have his avalanche outfit and things like that with a whole new look. But it's so many different things and ideas that they can do for these characters. For Lara Croft, she can have her classic Tomb Raider skins as ideas. So her vehicle can be like a Jeep or a buggy with her gear, with featuring like a map, the climbing axe that she used when you're playing the game and you're climbing the mountains and things like that, scaling the mountains. Her climbing axe, a map, and other items that you can use that she uses throughout her journey can be on the mount, can be mounted on the hood of the car, of the Jeep, for designer purposes, or maybe even in the buggy. So while you're racing, you can see all those different her survival kit, a med kit or something like that, and all her different survival tools could be in the back of her buggy. So that could be something that they could do for designer purposes as an idea for her car. So a track, the reason why I had the Aqua Forest is because they can do like a ruins sort of thing. I wish they added Mystic Ruins. They have these different unique tracks in these different worlds and different cities and islands. Kronos Island is something I want to use. And then let me see, the hidden world. It's all these different worlds that they added into the game. I'll just bring up White Cave. So White Cave could be an example. Let's just click on it so we can see them. But White Cave, I wanted to just bring this up too, because this could be fitting because we have these kind of tracks with these designs with these caves and different worlds, these isolated islands and things like that. I selected Patiti from Shadow of the Tomb Raider that I played. It's the legendary hidden city that we can be able to race on, for players to race on through the deeper ruins. It's a legendary hidden city that could be added for a Tomb Raider collab. And I can definitely see Shadow of the Tomb Raider getting represented for a track, or maybe it could be a cross world just like the White Cave that we'll be able to race on. So I think this would be something that could be fitting. We have these different ruins. When you play Tomb Raider, you run into some dinosaurs as well from the classic games. But see what they did? We're in space. We're in the Ice Age. And all the different things. We're in the sky. And all these different types of different worlds. And these super storms, the Magma Planet and Golden Temple. All this creativity can be added in and included for the city, the legendary hidden city of Patiti from Shadow of the Tomb Raider. It's a really nice city and a really cool design that I think Sega can use for an idea for Lara Croft's inclusion for her DLC. But just like I mentioned before we move on to the PlayStation pack, Square Enix has a lot of good characters that they can add. They could do Final Fantasy. They could do strictly Final Fantasy. They could do something else. They can add some other characters from a different series outside of Final Fantasy. But that's the level of creativity. It's just, it opens the door for all those different fans to get involved. Final Fantasy fans will definitely be playing Sonic Racing, seeing Cloud and Sephiroth represent this series and get in as playable characters. But I wanted to mix them in together to just target two great Square Enix games and two great characters that could really be able to join this game that they can pick up, and they can end up adding some other characters. They can get other Final Fantasy characters from different games. Cloud can cross over with a whole different Final Fantasy protagonist like Squall from Final Fantasy VIII. They can get Cloud and Leon, aka Squall from Final Fantasy VIII, and many other characters that can join in outside of just Sephiroth. It's Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy has so many amazing characters that they can add that could beef up this roster. So that's the Square Enix collab and all the things I could come up with them between Cloud and Lara Croft. Now we're gonna start getting into the PlayStation icons for the PlayStation pack featuring Sackboy and Kratos from God of War. So two different worlds. So the one thing that I want to just bring up, PlayStation has had all types of different collabs, and they had all the different news when it comes to Sonic Racing CrossWorlds and all the things that they've been talking about. We were able to find out about the closed network test when it comes to the PlayStation. When it comes to PlayStation, and I think they have a PlayStation deal. Sega has a PlayStation deal, so that means we could possibly end up seeing PlayStation icons join this game. And it was so difficult just trying to select some of the characters. And just some of these cars that you could be able to select from. Let's just pick a character. Let's be something.
Yeah, let's race.
So let's race. With some of these characters in these cars, this is a Sonic's car. Just with all this, the creativity with these vehicles, it's so many things that they can do. But I want to use, since we're talking about Kratos, we're going to get into Kratos. What could be something? I want to use this though. I'm going to use Zavos and have his on the screen, for example. Just from its design. Because he has like a face on it in the front. Which is exactly what I want to talk about for his kart design. For Sonic, since he has it on the screen here. So I want to use Zavos car, for example, for my idea that I came up with. So this PlayStation pack, I think we will definitely see a few PlayStation icons joining Sonic Racing CrossWorlds later on down the road, which is why I wanted to include a few characters for this second wave concept. The State of Play has a history of announcing Sonic Racing CrossWorlds news, which is how this is how we also found out about the closed network test for the first time that was exclusive to PlayStation only. And then we also recently got to see new character reveals such as Megaman and Proto Man as DLC from the same live event. And I think there's a good chance we may see several join, or at least one of these PlayStation icons join the roster. I'm not sure who it could be. I'm not saying it's going to be Kratos, and I'm not saying it's going to be Sackboy. I wanted to just pick some of my favorites for this idea for a dream roster, for a dream pack for DLC, for third party, as two great PlayStation characters that I would love to see join this game. So I'm going to start with Little Big Planet. Sackboy from Little Big Planet, one of my favorite games. I wish they would make another one of these. I love this game, and I think Little Big Planet is a perfect fit for Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. Sackboy is the main character that's part of this unique world where everyone is crafted or stitched together. His car can be based off the 2012 kart racing game, if you guys heard of it, Little Big Planet Karting. And if you try to just look it up, that kart can be pulled and recreated in Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, and he can be able to race in it. And a track for some ideas for Little Big Planet for Sackboy, I came up with the creator's canvas in from the craft world. This could have loads of the poppet bubbles to get whiffs from the item boxes, and some can also contain the rings. And if you guys play Little Big Planet, you know what I'm talking about with those poppet bubbles. It's how you get those costumes. You get new costumes in Little Big Planet, different costumes, different faces, and different parts to create your own custom character in Little Big Planet. New outfits, new skins, and things like that. New color palettes and more from those poppet bubbles. They can bring that in for Little Big Planet for a DLC collaboration. This can have loads of those poppet bubbles to get the whiffs, and some can contain rings that you can collect to get more speed while you're racing as a tribute to the series with the sound effects from Little Big Planet. The track itself can have cardboard, pieces of cardboard that you'll be able to race against, because that's stuff that's in the game. They're all handcrafted stuff. It's a world stitched together with a whole creative world where you can create what you want to create. It's gonna have cardboard, bounce pads, and then the iconic villain, Vex. I wanted to add him as a hazard for the track for Little Big Planet. Vex is gonna be able to shake up the track and really try to knock you off, to ruin your momentum and knock you off the track. He's going to be able to shake up the track, and he's going to be throwing projectiles towards the racers if you're and you're going to have to try to dodge his projectiles to avoid getting hit and then avoid falling off the map. So Vex is going to be causing some trouble with this new track of the creator's canvas, part of the craft world for Little Big Planet for Sackboy's idea. Now, some skins, there's so many that can really be included from the different types of different Sackboy characters that you can create. From the different skins, the different eyes, you can be able to customize that. And since Sage has her own skins, they can include those different styles for Sackboy, a part of his DLC for some skin ideas. So now we're going to start jumping into Kratos, one of the best characters of all time, and that's why I had this vehicle. I didn't really know what to use as far as Sackboys, because they don't have a car that's like knitted. But you see how big the cat's like a frog in the front, but this just shows you the creativity of what they can do. But I wanted to use Zavox as my idea for Kratos, which is why I had it on the screen. So Kratos is one of the best PlayStation characters of all time, and I think he'd be a go-to pick for PlayStation icons to join Sonic Racing. His kart could be designed with his Blades of Chaos, and maybe the kart style similar to the Mod Nation Racers, which had Hydra's head on the front of it. But you see Zavok's car with his face? This design looks like it's just look at the bottom. It looks like it could be like something similar to what they could do similar to what they can do for Kratos for God of War. Maybe like a chariot style vehicle that I think could also fit, but they could probably have Hydra's face on the front. Just maybe some of the gods can be found on the track, And I went with for God of War's for Kratos inclusion. I wanted to mention his Blaze of Chaos. I wanted that to be something that could be shown. Maybe it could be part of something that he's gonna carry on his back. The Blades of Chaos on his back, or maybe they could be able to appear on his car for design. Now for the track, I went with the snowy land of Midgard, and I'm probably gonna butcher his name. Your Mangunner from God of War Ragnarok can be that snake from God of War Ragnarok. He could be part of the track. He can be in the background. Maybe we'll be able to race on him, and he will probably be able to, put his head down, and we'll be able to race on top of the character, and really be able to move on to the next cross world and get back to the main track. So I think it's going to be awesome to really see that. We could be able to select the cross world from racing on him from God of War Ragnarok as an idea. And maybe Atreus can be spotted, and maybe some of the other gods from the game itself for Kratos collaboration as a PlayStation icon. I would love to see this. And I definitely think Kratos has a very high chance of getting picked up out of most of the PlayStation icons out there. They could do Nathan Drake. I'm gonna just name some, so I won't leave any names out. Aloy from Horizon could get picked up. They could do Astrobot. I wouldn't mind seeing him. They could do Ellie and Joel from The Last of Us. I would love to see Days Gone for Deacon. He can be Deacon St. John from Days Gone. If you guys played that game, he could be on his little motorcycle. He could get added into this game for Sonic Racing. For Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. There's so many great PlayStation icons. Ratchet and Clank can be together. Jack and Daxter and Sly, if they'd be willing to add them and things like that. I think they can get anybody from the PlayStation icons. But Kratos, I think, will have the highest chance compared to everybody else to get picked up. Now we're going to start talking about Ubisoft. So let's bring back on the characters. The one thing that I just don't like about that I haven't been liking about Ubisoft, they haven't brought out a Rayman game. We haven't had a Rayman game in so long. And I would love to see Rayman get into this roster. We got Joker from Persona. He's a second character, but let's have some of these other characters on here. Change a little music in the background. So Ubisoft hasn't really done a major Rayman title since Rayman Legends from 2013, and then before we had Rayman Origins in 2011. Rayman did end up making an appearance in the new Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope game that I played, that I really enjoyed. He was DLC, part of the Rayman and the Phantom Show from August of 2023 that I really enjoy, and I want to see him return. Rayman is one of my most wanted characters that I would love to see join as third party, maybe in the second wave if it happens. So we're going to talk all things Rayman and Globots, his best friend. One thing I noticed is that not every character has a unique car, but I was thinking of a Lumboard, and I want to just bring this up. Hatsune Miku, which is why I have it on the characters, so I can keep on switching these characters. Hatsune Miku, that's the wrong one. Her Diva Machina, this is her unique extreme gear exclusively for this character, so Rayman can have his own. He can have his own extreme gear, and I did that for some other characters that you guys are going to hear soon. He can have the Lumboard to represent the Rayman series with a bright yellow sparkling lum dust, using their energy to race through the track. So this would be a cool little idea. So let's bring it on this screen so people can really be able to see. Rayman can have his own extreme gear using the power of the lums from the series. The lums give so much energy and can really be able to help Rayman race on his extreme gear. So that's an idea I have for Rayman, how he could play, and instead of having Rayman be in a cart, he can be in an extreme gear and have his own. So Globots, Rayman's best friend, will also deserve a spot in the roster for the two if they pick two different characters. I think he belongs in the cart of his own instead, so I didn't want to put Globots on extreme gear. So as an idea for his cart design, Globos can have his cart made of vines with water lily pads, just from the series, just from the Rayman series. I also thought they could even use the designs of the tiny teensies. The tiny teensies are these little, are the little tiny, the tiny characters that's in the from the Rayman series or the Rayman series that have magic. They have their own magic in the show, so they could probably have like the tiny teensies face on the front of Globos's car as a little bit of a nod to them. But I also ended up throwing them in for the track that we could see probably as background characters. For the track, I selected the Glade of Dreams. The Glade of Dreams for Rayman, this world belongs in CrossWorlds because it's a crossroad of it's the crossroads of dreams. So this is the main world of Rayman, or the Rayman series in general. So I like to see characters like Rayman's friends, Lee the fairy, the teensies that I just finished talking about, Murphy, Clark from his other friends from the series, and then the sea of Lums that's part of the Glade of Dreams will be able to race in that sea, the sea of Lums that could be part of the track for the boat section containing rings and stunt jumps. Because Holoska has a little boat session and things like that. Child Park, just to name some from the game. They have different boat sessions where you have to be in the water. Even the water palace and things like that. It goes on and on. That can be included for the Glade of Dreams as an idea for the Rayman series. So that's everything about Rayman and Globos, and for the Ubisoft pack or the Ubisoft collab, they can do something like that. But they probably gonna go for Assassin's Creed. What if they do that? Wouldn't mind seeing Altair, Ezio Auditore as playable characters. I wouldn't have a problem with that, but I would definitely rather have Rayman over Assassin's Creed any day. Nothing against the series. But now we're going to start getting into the final two packs, Resident Evil, and then we're going to get into the anime to close out. Resident Evil is one of my favorite series, and since we got Mega Man recently announced, and notice we got multiple repetitions, and this is why I want to bring them up. Let's put SpongeBob right here. The reason why I want to bring this up and have them on here, we got repeated iconic characters or repeated third-party DLC with Nicktoons with Nickelodeon. Mega Man has recently joined and was recently revealed, but in this current season pass that we have multiple collabs with the Nicktoons characters that have 3 different packs. We got SpongeBob, the Ninja Turtles with TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and then we have the Avatar Legends. So maybe we could see at least one more pack featuring another great Capcom franchise. So why not Resident Evil, for example? Resident Evil has a lot of memorable characters, so it was difficult to tell. It was difficult to really just be able to try to figure out who I wanted to add from the series. So I went with Chris and Jill. Chris and Jill from the Stars. There's so many other characters they can do. Leon, Claire Redfield. They can do Chris and Claire, the Redfields, for a combo. So I went with Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine, the duo. And that's why I thought I wanted to, with this pack, just coming up with this, I wanted to add in at least one little repetition of a repeated collab that can return later on in the future. So they can definitely probably add Resident Evil to promote it. See how we getting Resident Evil Requiem next March? You know, next week? Well, that's next week. Next year, for next March, for 2026, they can do something like that for a collab, for something that they can do to promote the Resident Evil series. So Chris and Jill, we want to get into them. Let's start with Chris Redfield. Chris was a STARS member in Resident Evil, but is now a part of the BSAA in the series. So I think the BSAA military truck will be a cool idea for Chris Redfield's vehicle that would fit Chris's vehicle style, and they can add the decals with the BSAA logo. So the BSAA, the group that he's part of, since he's no longer part of STARS, they fight off these bioweapons. These bioorganic weapons, which are called the BOWs from the Resident Evil series, if you guys heard of that. The bioorganic weapons are the BOWs that the BSAA is always hunting down to protect the citizens and protect the world from this infection. So this military truck will be a cool fit for Chris Redfield. And then for Jill, since she's still a STARS member, Jill Valentine, she's still a STARS member that's part of the Special Tactics and Rescue Service, which is STARS, the STARS service. Her car or buggy design can have the STARS logo for the design itself, and then she can have some herbs, an ammo crate, and maybe a small rocket launcher in the back of her car, or maybe for back of her cart for her design, and she can be dressed in her STARS outfit. And then some skin ideas for these characters for Resident Evil, for example. The skins could be included with her classic Resident Evil 3 Nemesis style, the STARS outfit, and many more. And then Chris can also have his old original STARS costume, and then he can also rock his Resident Evil 5 costume. They can bring several costumes when it comes to the Resident Evil series with Chris and Jill, because they're both STARS members, and then they're still surviving this outbreak of the virus with the T virus and things like that. They went through all that, and now they've been fighting BOWs for the bioorganic weapons and super zombies and things like that. They've been through a lot, and this whole apocalypse. They've been through the whole zombie apocalypse, and they're fighting all types of different monsters and different infections and different things where they made a lot of sacrifices. So it'll be nice to see these different skins to represent as a cool little nod to the other classic Resident Evil series from the other games. They don't have to add every skin under the sun, but just maybe they can add maybe an outfit or two, like Jill, for example. A good outfit or a good skin for Jill Valentine will be nice to see that classic Resident Evil 3 skin get involved. They did it for Dead by Daylight, and they did it for Chris Redfield as well. They all have their different sort of skins represented from those different series. So some other things that I want to bring up before we wrap up and get into our final pack for the final collab. They can do other series outside of Resident Evil, like Street Fighter, for example. Because if we don't get Resident Evil, I think we'll probably end up seeing Street Fighter more than likely with Ryu and Ken. They could do something like that. And Capcom also has Monster Hunter, which Sega has already collabed with before with Sonic Frontiers, because we had the Monster Hunter DLC that was free in Sonic Frontiers when we were rocking that monster armor. And who knows, they can end up adding a hunter from Monster Hunter. They can do a Monster Hunter collab outside of Street Fighter, outside of the Resident Evil series. They might even go as far as doing Devil May Cry with Dante. I would like to see that happen. So it's just things like that that shows you the creativity and just all the things that they can end up bringing to the table when it comes to Capcom, because they've already worked with them before and collabed with them from the past. They have a really good relationship and a good business relationship. Sega can get just about anything when it comes to Capcom, even if it's not Resident Evil. So I just picked this because as an example of a repeated collaboration, because we got 3 different Nicktoons heavy hitters with SpongeBob, the Ninja Turtles, and Avatar The Last Airbender, or Avatar Legends per se. So they definitely probably will end up going back to get an additional collab from either Capcom, or maybe we'll see it from someone else or from a different company for a different franchise. So now it's time to close this out with the anime pack. This is a reach, this is a stretch, and I'm not sure if this is going to happen. And with all these different characters that we got Ichiban from Yakuza. These are Sega characters. This is completely different. But the one thing that really surprised me, how about Minecraft? Let's put it on these characters. We got Minecraft in the game, which I didn't expect to see in the Sonic game. I don't even play Minecraft, but I love seeing the creativity. We got Minecraft that I didn't expect to see in the Sonic Racing game.
Yeah, let's race.
So I was trying to make sure I was on the menu. Let's just put him in his car. This is right at the end of the premiere. So I have so much to get into when it comes to anime because I don't want to run out of time. So this is a reach. I'm not sure if this is going to happen for this game, but I honestly think that this roster is already looking stacked early on in the game, only just released and just came out, and we have a glimpse of all the characters for the first wave of DLC concluded. So let's start talking about the potential of Dragon Ball Z characters. It's one of my favorite shows from Cartoon Network. I grew up watching Toonami. I loved watching the Cell games. Seeing Gohan just become the strongest character in the game, surpass Goku, and put fear in his opponents, reaches Super Saiyan 2 for the first time, way before the other characters. I grew up watching Dragon Ball Z on Toonami, Cartoon Network, Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball, and so much more. I love the Cell Saga, the Frieza Saga. I love Garlic Jr. I've been watching all this ever since it was still airing on Cartoon Network. It's just so much amazing characters, so many great characters that can get picked up for Dragon Ball Z. And even watching the movies like Cooler's Revenge, I almost feel like watching that all over again because it's been so long. And many more. So Dragon Ball Z was the final pack. I wanted to put a reach on purpose for this final DLC wave. I'm not saying that they can get these characters, and I think that they can. It's a chance. I think it's a chance. It's a slight chance, but I think they can definitely settle on something when it comes to Dragon Ball Z or any sort of kind of anime. And I'm gonna start talking about others going towards the end. So for Goku's vehicle, I don't think he'll have a cart of his own. For some ideas, I went with the flying Nimbus that can be used for inspiration for his own unique extreme gear. He rides the flying Nimbus in the show, so I think this could be something Sega could utilize for his inclusion in Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. So I think that would be his vehicle and his string gear that's inspired from the flying Nimbus. Maybe they can add the flying Nimbus. It doesn't even need to be a string gear. See what they did with Rio from Shimu? He was driving a forklift. It's just like I mentioned with Cloud Strife, they can use his motorcycle, the Fenrir for Final Fantasy VII that he got in the storyline from the series itself. That can be his vehicle as well. So they can add Goku's flying Nimbus. That can be his quote unquote extreme gear. They can do a design based off that of how it looks, or they can have him use that for his extreme gear to really be able to drift. It's gonna be awesome to see that. I would love to see the flying Nimbus in this game. Now, for the Prince of All Saiyans, Vegeta, he can join Goku in this roster in a combo pack. So Vegeta can have a Saiyan Scouter Pod for his extreme gear with rocket thrusters that can produce ki from the back, ki energy. The ki is what they use to really launch these blasts and use their energy in the series for the anime for Dragon Ball Z. They can even use a space pod design from the show for Vegeta's extreme gear. Or maybe they can design it from the Saiyan armor with that blue and yellow, the blue and gold and white that they wear from that armor. That could be some kind of design that they could do for a cart for Vegeta if they don't put him on extreme gear. Now, some ideas real quick for tracks. Dragon Ball Z has a lot of cool iconic locations, so I went with Planet Namek, West City that we can really be able to race through from the show. Snake Way. I think Snake Way can be a cool little cross world along with the hyperbolic time chamber. I would love to see that in this game. It'll look amazing just how they did. See how they got all these different tracks from what they added? The Snake Way and the hyperbolic time chamber can be a potential cross world that we can really be able to race on. And then the main track can be Planet Namek or West City. They can add multiple tracks for this DLC. Multiple cross worlds can get in. And I don't even know if this is going to be something possible. This is just an idea of what they can do. They can definitely make this work. With all this creativity, especially what they did from those other characters from Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, they all had their unique vehicles. What's stopping them from adding the Flying Nimbus and adding a unique vehicle for the Prince of All Saiyans And I wanted to mention the skins. They can make so much money off these skins of all the different transformations. And I just want to bring this up one more time. Sage has a skin and it already has this started, and they had the AI skins that you can unlock from Race Park that I mentioned from earlier. Sage already has a skin of her own. Just imagine the skins. Let's start getting into this. Just imagine the skins for the Dragon Ball Z characters. For Goku, the Kaioken, Super Saiyan 1, 2, and 3. He can go Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan 4, and then what people want to see, Goku Black. Those can also be skins that people will pay for. And then Super Saiyan Blue for Vegeta and Goku, people will pay for those skins and buy those instantly. As soon as the DLC come out, imagine that. They're gonna benefit so much, and they're gonna attract a lot of people playing Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, because they're gonna be playing as their Dragon Ball Z characters, and then they can add other characters and skins along the way. Maybe they can add Gohan later on. Maybe an iconic villain like Frieza. It goes on and on. Cell, Majin Buu, and things like that. For Vegeta skins, just to get into his real quick, Super Saiyan, or what do you say? It's Super Vegeta from the show. Super Vegeta, Super Saiyan Vegeta, and then one of my favorite skins, Majin Vegeta, when he was when he was brainwashed from Majin Buu or from Babidi's controlling things like that. Majin Vegeta would look awesome for a cool little skin. And just like I mentioned, Super Saiyan 4, Super Saiyan, things like that. He has those different transformations. They're going to be able to benefit from those skins. So those are real some nice skins for Super Saiyan Blue, Super Saiyan. Goku is going to definitely have way more skins than Vegeta, but they can balance that out. Because he achieved more transformations than Vegeta, because he didn't get Super Saiyan 3. Vegeta didn't even go Super Saiyan 3. But he made it to Super Saiyan 4 and more with his own little forms. And then they can also have their regular Saiyan for their normal forms where they're not even Super Saiyan. They can do events. They could do a giant special event where we play and unlock these skins, or add in a special Grand Prix that can have Planet Namek as a track, West City, Snake Way, and Hyperbolic Time Chamber. Those could be all playable tracks in a single Grand Prix for a Dragon Ball Z. Ideal concept for a collaboration DLC. Once you complete the Grand Prix, you can be able to unlock some of these skins, and you can play it on a higher difficulty to play and unlock Super Saiyan Blue. Maybe you can go against Goku level 10 with a level 10 difficulty rival, and once you beat him, you can unlock Super Saiyan Blue Goku, and then you do the same thing with Vegeta on high difficulty. It's going to make it fun. And just in the matter for the last few minutes, I just want to say this. Some other anime I would like to see that they could possibly get. They can get Naruto. They could do My Hero Academia, or Boku no Hero, One Punch Man, Demon Slayer, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. A lot of people have different preferences of different shows. One of my favorite iconic animes, Yu Yu Hakusho, is one of my favorite shows. They can get some of these shows added for anime characters. Naruto, Rurouni Kenshin, another favorite of mine, Trigun, Inuyasha. It's a reach, but I don't know if they're probably gonna add anime characters. But from seeing these characters that they have, they can definitely do so much more for this game, and it shows you the potential is just endless. The sky is the limit. That's why I made this today, because I think this game could be even bigger, and as they continue to add more, it's just like what they said from the interview, from the Q&A. There's always another surprise around the corner. That's what they said. There's always another surprise around the corner. It's so much more that they can do. This game can just go on for years and be one of the biggest racing games ever. And I want to see these characters get in. Even if they don't add anime, I hope that they consider some of these characters that I talked about. Everybody's going to have a different preference, which is fine. Whether or not you want to see someone else, some of these characters or not, everybody's going to want more, and they're going to be curious about what they're going to do next. So this is just a taste of what they can do for a second wave for a season pass. Let me know what you guys think. I definitely have fun putting these ideas together. I'm gonna put the timestamps in for people to listen to the ideas. I hope they consider adding these characters in the future.